How's everybody doing today? How's it going, Jen?
Hey Joe, how you doing?
Oh, good. I don't know if anybody has seen our weather, but yesterday we hit 118. Um,
Nice.
that's a record since I think it hit 1983. It hit 116, so that was a record for July 5th. But no, everything's
For me,
going good. How are things going out there with you?
good. Not too bad. The weather's not been as bad, so it's much
Yeah,
better than Florida. I will tell you, it's not as the humidity. I think makes a huge difference. So we're not as hot.
yeah. I was there August of last year, and I hated
We're
it.
swimming in it.
Yeah, it was very humid. So, but yeah, today shouldn't be as bad. I think it's going to hit like 111, but um, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So,
Hot, but
welcome everybody. We actually wanted to get on here and hang out. We have a couple of updates and things going on in the background that a lot of people don't really know about. So, wanted to take some time to hang out with you and you know chit chat with Jen a little bit. Um, so, a couple of the things that we're going to be doing. I am, let's see, I'm going to be moving to Missouri, probably end of September, beginning October. So I will be officially getting rid of the Arizona heat permanently. I moved here in 1996, and I was only supposed to stay for a little bit. That turned into 28, almost 30 years. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about living someplace with snow and living someplace green. But that'll be something that's changing. With that, the podcast is going to be a little bit sporadic, um, meaning we're still going to look for specific guests, but the weekly thing is probably not going to always happen. So we created this Hangout. It's a host Hangout session so that if Jen and I need to get some information out or if we want to go live just because we enjoy doing it, we could hop on here. So you could expect to see a couple of host hangouts and things like that, where we give updates, talk leopard geckos, and go on from there. But Missouri, specifically, we're going to be moving to Columbia, Missouri, and yeah. So, Jen,
Joe,
what's new with you?
not a whole lot. The biggest thing is I'm going to be doing my first vending show here this month, so I'm excited about that. So
Yeah, now, this is your
yeah,
first that you've ever done, like on your
first that
own.
I've ever done. I've
Okay.
attended many.
Yeah.
But this will be my first. I've done other vending things in the past, so it's not my first rodeo as a vendor.
Yeah.
But it is going to be my first for as a vendor for the geckos. So I'm excited. My daughter's going to help me. She's my little sidekick. She's really good. She loves talking to people, so it'll be fun. We're looking forward to it.
That's cool. Now, Dex, your daughter, she
Yes,
does AFTs. So her
yes. She's starting AFTs. Yep.
yeah, how's she doing with that?
She's doing really good. Obviously, she's starting, so she's got to grow them up for about another year and a half before
Mhm.
any of them will be ready. So she's, just learning the ropes of the full time care. Mom kind of stays in the back and I oversee, but it's completely her gig.
Yeah.
So she's almost 17. So she's responsible enough. She's been helping me with the leopard geckos, as you know, Joe, for quite some time. She actually is the reason I'm back into them. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm pretty proud of her and I'm excited to see where she goes with them.
Yeah.
So,
Now her hobby handle is River Walk Reptiles.
yes.
Yeah, she has a little Instagram and she's getting started. That's actually really cool. I know that she was excited to get some of her AFTs from Seth over at Huff Hooks.
Yes, she was so psyched about the ones from Seth, that's for sure. So,
Yeah.
I think those
That's
are her,
cool.
let's not say much, but I think those are her favorite.
No, it makes sense. He's got awesome stuff,
hmm
and he takes good care of them. He's really good at raising them up from babies. I hear that they can be a little challenging when they're young. So
Yeah, yeah,
um,
for sure.
that's cool. Speaking of daughters, my daughter Samantha, Squishy Geckos. She is actually so we installed a mini split system on her garage yesterday. Next week we're going to be working on. feeding down heat. We're going to be working on insulating her garage door, and then above the garage, the mini split will be up and running. We're going to test it for a week, week and a half, and see how it holds temp. Put a couple of those hygrometers in there, and if it all works out, I'm going to build her together. We're going to build a reptile room. She's got some cool ideas. I'm pretty excited for her. But yeah, she'll be staying here in Arizona, so she'll hold down the fort here as I move on. We're actually looking into getting a big old basement, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to commandeer that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think Jess is going to have a choice.
Yeah. She talks a lot like she's going to, but you put a thing or two in the way, and then they stop wanting to go downstairs. So
All right, well, you could have the flip side like me. I invite the husband in just a tad bit, and
yeah.
I feel like
Now
he's going to commandeer.
yeah, you've commandeered your entire family though. They all pretty much do reptiles now.
Pretty much. My husband is he's got his eyes on some things he wants to work on. I want to put it out there because he wants to be in the background. He said that he doesn't want to do a hobby handle. He just wants to be in the background. And, he helps with cleaning and stuff now, as you know. So he's really getting psyched. And my son's always been into him. So, yeah.
Now he's you said a little more meticulous than you are about certain things.
He can be. Yeah. You can. And it's like, okay, I'm extra. All right. You know this. You know this person. I'm extra. That man's a little bit more. So I think it's going to be a really good thing. I just hope he doesn't come down here and take all my space.
Oh, and I don't.
'Cause I have the basement. So.
Yeah, you already have
I commandeered our basement. Yeah. That was the agreement when we moved from Florida to here. Florida, we don't have basements in Florida, at least not where I'm from.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a have to coming up here, was having a place for just the reptiles. So
you have your reptile room is actually doing a lot of growing and changing lately. More like I don't know, more uniformity, I guess you'd say, or how would you describe it?
Yeah. So for sure. So as you know, we're growing. We have babies hatching daily, and making sure we have the space for them, the space for mom and dads. We're kind of designating. I'm more in that place of we're designating certain shelves for certain things now, not just having a quarantine area and having all my babies in one area kind of thing. So we are definitely kind of getting a little bit more tight knit here with how we're doing things. My husband just installed a nice little utility sink for me, which is going to make things a lot easier down here too,
That's awesome.
for cleaning. And yeah, so we've got a lot of changes going on. So it makes it a little hectic for me. Huh?
Yeah. What kind of utility sink?
It's just like one of the typical utility laundry sinks. I think it's a 23-inch or 24-inch. It's one of those deep ones. And then they come with just normal standard sink faucets, but he installed a hose type one for me. So when I really have to get in after soaking and cleaning anything, just if anything I need to do, he's got me set up. So
yeah, I remember grabbing one of those about 2 years ago, and it changed the game because it had a deep sink, and I could put it outside and run a hose to it.
Yeah, that's what he's pretty much done. So all that nastiness stays and washes away. And
it's funny watching me like connect the pipes to go all the way out through the gate, and so it'll drain the street. But it doesn't have to be a permanent sink if you don't have the room for it, and I never have. So,
well, we have fur babies. I know you have one, but we have 3. And we have 2 huskies and a mini doxy, so I don't want them like kind of running into that. So yeah, running the drain line right where it needs to go, and not that they really come on that side of the yard, but on the side of the house where it's at. But it's actually, it's going to be nice. We used it for the first time today, so I was really excited this morning. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
I'm going to need to take lessons from you on how to talk my family into wanting to, because I got my kids do it, but they do it for obviously monetary compensation. But my wife will have nothing to do with it. She likes reptiles. She'll come walk in, wash her hands, pick them up, play with them, and then put them back down and be like, this one needs cleaning. And it's like your husband and all your kids are doing it.
Well, it's funny to watch him come in here because he was like that. That he really, just as long as I was happy, he was supportive. That's all. He was good at a distance. I never even held one until I want to say last month and a half. And I mean, he has just come in here and he'll notice that one needs spot clean and he'll start. And the next thing I know, he's done an entire rack or 2. And I'm not complaining. because that extra help is definitely appreciated. But I didn't do anything. There's no magic potion, no sorcery, no nothing. Just
Yeah.
he knew I needed a little hand here with all the rearranging and stuff we're doing. So
Yeah. So you ended up getting a pet dealer's license. Is that right?
I did, yeah, for Georgia.
That's awesome. Is it
Yeah.
different than Florida?
So it is a little bit different what I found in Florida. So I only wholesaled a little bit in Florida. I didn't do any vending shows, as you know, and then I kind of privately had sold
Yeah.
some of mine. But in Florida, you have to get a captive wildlife license through FWC. You have to go through the state and also open a business through Sunbiz. So it's a little bit different here in Georgia in the sense that, I mean, I'm still going to pay taxes and I still have to file taxes, but I had to go through Georgia's Department, basically, of Agriculture, kind of like what Florida has. And they came in, they did an inspection. They look for sick animals, they look for cleanliness, they make sure you have a fire extinguisher or any kind of safety things. I mean, that checklist that she has she sent me afterwards, it was crazy. I didn't even realize she was looking for as many things as she was looking through when she came here. But I think we talked about this before. She did comment that she wished I could teach some people that I have one of the
Yeah.
cleaning facilities
I
that
know
she.
your
So
room's coming along. I was actually going to suggest that you start taking a couple of photos. I know you got that new camera.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you should take some photographs of your new sink and things like that, and share
yeah,
them so
for
you can
sure.
see what you got going on.
Yeah, because this is
Um,
stuff that I didn't think about. It's just kind of things that I kind of stumbled upon, or other people giving me the idea. So I definitely am happy to help where I can. So
yeah, yeah. I'm pretty excited to set up Samantha's own reptile room. We're not going to share anymore,
I'm
so.
so excited for her.
Yeah, she ended up. She got her own husbandry account, and she's
Mhm.
already very
That's a big
thorough
step.
with. Yeah, she's very thorough with her identifiers and making sure to track everything.
Mhm.
We also use Sheets. Sheets is free, and if you know how to use it,
Yeah.
it's a very useful tool. And at the end of season, we print them all out and file them because you never know, the internet could go down. But it's yeah, she's actually really excited to have it happen over there. And then I know that so she just bought her house, and it's a nice little plot of land. It has a back house. Her mom and stepdad are putting together an Airbnb with the back house, and then the garage was something they wanted to rent out as a apartment. So I guess they all went in on it together. And she was just kind of like, "I'm going to use this. This is going to be my reptile room, and we'll have to figure out the rent of whatever because she pays the mortgage on the house." And
Mhm.
but yeah, uh, Air One, my AC business. I'm actually shutting it down. So I'm in the process of dissolving now. Yesterday was yesterday was the last day. So that's kind of a weird thing to go through to have a business where you have employees, but I'm a pretty resourceful guy, so we started to move things around real quick, and then I literally called around to a bunch of different HVAC companies, and just about every employee I had has another job already. So that was actually a really neat experience. But the amount of
Amazing
stress just
that-
go whoosh,
Oh, I
like
can imagine.
at the end of yesterday, and then waking up today, like, what do I do today besides go clean later? Pack up and clean, and I have 3 months before I'm going to move, so I got plenty of time. It's a little too hot to do everything, but we'll get a bunch done that's inside. And
Well, I'm going to give you some big kudos because I know with a lot of your people, you really assisted there. And you could have been like many other companies and dissolved that company, and good luck. And you owe yourself some pats on the back there. So, yeah.
yeah, no, I do try. I think about other people, and I would love to have had the AC business forever, but when you're moving to another state, you don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
Here's what I do know. When I get there, I'm going to be probably 75% reptiles. So I'm going to be setting up a second business, but it's going to be in our hobby. And obviously, geckos I'll always do. So the podcast, I know we are going to be focusing a lot on upcoming shows, booking people, putting together some topics. I need to do more clips for Instagram, things that I'll actually have time for now, and things that you'll probably have time for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the podcast is by the end of the year, it should be going pretty well. It's just one of those things when you own a business, it's dead of summer, you can't focus on it. It's one of those things where I kept getting distracted, and then it was, one thing after the other. But yeah, I'm actually really excited to focus more into reptiles. And the other thing I'm really excited about is no mortgage. We're buying a house straight out. So
Nice.
that's one of those, oh man, that's a ball and chain that I won't be taking with me. But
You know what I'm excited about?
yeah, what's that?
You're going to be closer.
Mm. Yeah, I think like the midpoint, if we met up to exchange animals or whatever,
Like
would
a
be like 5 hours?
Yeah. But my sister's in Missouri, and we talked about this. She's only an hour and 45 minutes outside of where you're at. So I'll be
Oh,
killing two birds with one stone when I go visit.
yeah, I know Jess would like to see it too. You
Yeah.
got to bring Dan though, because
Oh,
you
yeah.
have girl brains. Yeah,
Huh?
you have girl brains. You'll have to bring your husband, so I have someone to hang out with.
Well, I think
Uh,
it would be opposite though, because she's
yeah,
not into the geckos, and he can kind of entertain her, even though he's getting there. And I
no,
think you have that set in your head, but I don't think that's how it would be.
it's funny. It's like I get along with dudes more than girls, but at the same time, I don't watch football. I just threw myself under a
Yeah.
huge, but I don't watch
All
football.
right.
So,
Oh,
but my
okay.
wife loves it. So if he likes football, they can watch
Yeah,
football while I
does.
go
Yeah.
clean. So,
Yep, he does.
but yeah, does he have a team?
Yeah, well, he's a huge college football fan, and I know I'm gonna get crapped on for saying this in front of these Georgia people if any are watching, but he's a Florida Gator fan, always has been. We were house divided. For a pro, I think he's still a good Tampa Bay fan, but he's not as into it as he used to be. So
Okay.
yeah,
He's not a Dolphins fan.
hell no, sorry, but
He doesn't like what is it,
that's what it,
Dan Marino, or is that guy still playing?
I don't know. He's retired a long time ago.
I saw that on
Um,
Ace Ventura when I was a kid, so probably
yeah.
not. Huh?
No, but we would root for the Bucks usually when we would watch football. So yeah,
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, I've
yeah.
heard that name. My wife is a Steelers fan. Um, I
You
don't know
know
why.
he's from Philly, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
He
It's
has
funny. I grew up in
but
LA. Sorry. Good.
you're fine. He has a thing about the Steelers. Is all I was saying.
Yeah. So I'm not allowed to claim a team. I grew up in LA. My grandfather's one of those. They call themselves diehard Raiders fans.
Yeah,
Um, they just moved to Vegas, I think. But anyway, my if I were to be caught dead saying that I was anything other than a Raiders fan, I think my grandpa would have a heart attack. So not trying for that.
well, Clint is actually more onto it. He's more into the UFC fighting and things like that these days than he is the
Me,
football.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
and
thing.
boxing. He loves boxing. So
Boxing and MMA. That's what my those are my sports. So.
yeah.
Yeah, usually boxing fans love football, though. I just never did. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't watch any of them really. I'm too busy doing stuff all the time.
Right.
So, when you got your pet dealer's license, how long would you say that took?
It was actually a very quick process. So in Florida, it took about 3 months.
Mhm.
It's just a little bit of them not knowing how to do certain things. And I had to educate the FWC officer that overseen me, unfortunately, just because he was not aware.
Yeah.
Here, it was within. So I did the application. Contacted within a week, not even a week, and then she came the following week, did my inspection, and then a week later, all I had to do was pay my fee. As soon as I paid my dealer's fee, I had it. So it was less than a 4 week period of time. And the last part of it was just me lollygagging that I don't really need to pay it quite yet. I don't need it right the second. So I'll take care of that later. And then finally just went ahead and paid for it and had it. So, but it is a pretty quick process. So
Did anybody in Georgia give you a hand on figuring out how to do all that?
So, yeah. So I know Reese has, does shows and stuff here with House of Reps, but actually, Greg with Lizzie Bolts just shot me the links of where to go. So I was able to find the information that way. Other than that, I just did it all on my own. And Reese gave
Yeah.
me some pointers and stuff, but I was a little surprised even when me and Reese talked. Not really pointers. He just kind of was like, "Hey, they're gonna make sure you have your fire, extinguisher there," kind of thing, which obviously we have heat tape. We're going to have one around anyways.
Yeah.
But things like that, just like the basic what she did. But mine was definitely, my inspector is a new inspector apparently as well. And she's used to doing other type of animals. So she was pretty thorough. I felt like I didn't think it was like a quick in and out, but she also, like I said, she looked at a lot of things that I didn't even know she was looking at. So
Okay.
I was just like, come in, do your thing. And, you
Yeah.
know, I showed her some animals. I actually really excited because it was the first person to come in this
Yeah.
room since we've been here. So I was like showing her this one and showing her that one. Do you want to see some babies? And she was, she wanted to see them too. So it was cool. Yeah.
I
But
think you got to Georgia right at the right time. Speaking of Blizzy, I know he's kind of silently getting a little bit out of the hobby. Not entirely. He's going to keep some animals, but
mhm,
I know he's not going to be as ramped up as he once was. And you ended up uh, buying a bunch of his racks.
yeah, I think I have a total of 5.
Wow,
So
that's awesome. Yeah. So, and then you got to live like what, 15 minutes away from Reese?
yeah, I think me and Reese are only about 15 minutes away from each other. And I think Greg is about 2 hours south of us. So
Okay.
I always met at the halfway point with him. So when I did meet him, and then the last time he was kind enough to come and drop the racks off, so I didn't have to
He drove
worry.
all the way up.
Yeah, hmm yeah.
That's awesome. He's a really cool dude. To go
So
out of his way like that, that's pretty cool.
yeah, I appreciated it for sure. So
Yeah. Um,
I don't do the Atlanta traffic. I don't like Atlanta traffic. So
yeah. Is it like LA traffic or what?
I've never been in LA traffic, but people complain about us Florida drivers.
Hmm.
Come drive around my town a little bit.
So what show are you doing in July, and what day in July are
So
you doing it?
I'm gonna do the Show Me Reptiles. Repticon is booked, so it's kind of where I wanted to grab, kind of sign up for a couple of them and try different ones out. So I was able to get into the Show Me Reptiles. It's going to be here in Marietta. They're going to hold it at the Marietta Union Hall on July 27th and 28th. So I'll be there both days, and I think they're going to be open 9 to 3:30 to the public.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, so I'm excited.
Well, if anybody's in the area, make sure you walk over and say hi to Jen, get some photos with her. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. I know I have we have Geckoverse stickers coming, and I'm going to get those to you before the show. That way you can hand some of those out.
hmm
So that's going to be cool. I'm actually really excited. You know how you're always nervous to move? I don't have any of that. I'm super excited to get out of Arizona. If I never see a cactus again, I think I'll be just the happiest guy. I don't see how depression ever hits me where there's no cactus, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just, yeah. And
Isn't that strange too?
it is. You know, you'll never hear me
Always
advocate
do.
for mispronouncing things, but it's cactuses. It's not cacti. So I don't care what the dictionary says. It's cactuses. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
and it's
We,
also, go ahead,
no, it's also what?
just for everybody so they can actually one day hear this. It's mischievous, not
Mm.
mischievous. One girl said, that's my
The
accent.
grammar police over here.
I was like, that's not your accent. That's you
Pronunciation
mispronouncing
police.
shit.
I don't
Yeah.
know. We felt the same way though. We were so super excited to get out of Florida. I was born and raised in Florida, and Florida is a beautiful state. But I will tell you, Florida is not the state I grew up in. So for us, change was definitely nice, and it is beautiful where we're at. We're up in the mountain area, but we're a little too close to Atlanta. So I would like to be a little bit more north. So I don't think it's a bad thing that you're not nervous. I think it's great that you're excited. I do miss my daughter. That is the hardest thing about being here is that my 19-year-old decided to stay back and finish school, and she's starting her own life. So I couldn't drag her as much as I wanted to up here. I wouldn't do that to her. So is that going to be hard for you?
Yeah, no, I won't be around my kids, but they're not kids. All of mine are grown up. So,
That's what I keep telling myself about that one.
the 6-year-old, my daughter Lennon, she's
Yeah.
coming with us. So, I still have to raise her, and all
Yeah.
the others are on their own doing well. My youngest son is turning 18, so he's
Mhm.
not quite there, but he is basically an adult. He knows he can come stay with dad anytime he wants. Um, yeah, I know it's going to be a little different not being around them every day, but we'll we'll get to see each other and see how they're doing. And I don't know, maybe I'll make some more trips out west when I have grandkids someday or something. But
Yeah,
mine
that's
are
true.
all grown up, so um,
Papa Joe. I love it.
yeah. Speaking of reptile shows, I just got back. You said you're from Florida. I'm from Pomona, California, and I just got back from that show. It's my JMG shirt. I don't know if you can see it with the.
We could from there you go. There you go.
Yeah, I got to meet Jeff. I met a couple of people too. One of the people, it was actually pretty funny that I met, was Amy Benzie. And she said she was Dave Kaufman's partner. I didn't know who she was at first, but we were walking from the hotel to the show side by side, just kind of chatting back and forth. I had no clue who she was. And she mentioned that she and her partner go to Suriname all the time. And I was instantly like, I know who that is because that's something I have in common with Dave Kaufman and her
Yeah.
is that I've been there probably 2 dozen times. I used to work in mining a long time ago. And one of the mine sites we did was in Suriname. For people who don't know, which is everyone, Suriname is in South America. It's kind of like the northeast corner up there. It's the only country in South America where they speak Dutch instead of Spanish. And it's a really neat place. We used to do all of our mining in the beating heart of the rainforest, and there's a lot of animals out there. So I was able to give her some information about like a resort I like staying at. It's called the Bergendal Resort. And then I was getting yanked by my family left and right while I was trying to go to the show and trying to be present.
Yeah.
I got to meet Steven at SC Reptiles, Angel at Dogtown Geckos, Mike with Malawi Gecko. Let's see. I shook hands with Red Rock. His name is Justin. I
Nice.
met Jeff briefly. Jeff, I'm not going to unwrap this, but I'll bring it up to the camera. So Jeff handed me something to give to Thomas, who I'm pissed off at, but I ended up having to wrap it. I won't tell you exactly. This is not a boat, okay? And what it is it's a gigantic molded vagina. And Jeff handed that to me in the middle of a damn reptile show and said, "Hey, you're the guy giving this to Thomas, right?" And I'm like, I looked at it
Fantastic.
and I'm like, "What? You want me to carry this around the Pomona show?" So he
So
was.
you have to tell us. Did you know about this ahead of time?
I knew I was getting something for Thomas. I didn't really realize
Well,
it
you
was
were picking
this
up.
big. And so of course, me being me, I booked it to my hotel room and
I bet
dropped it
you
off.
did.
But yeah, how's it going, Brett? So, yeah, I woke up to Brett talking mad shit to me this morning for no reason. He just picks on people, man.
Leave it to Brett. Leave it to Brett.
But yeah. So anyway, JMG hands me a 2.5 foot vagina to give to Thomas, and so it's here in my house, and I'm just waiting to have time to meet up with Thomas, and he's like messaging me like, "Hey, do you have that abomination?" And I'm like, "What?"
Now I have to
Yes.
ask. Did you share it with Jess? Did she get a good look at it?
Actually, it's funny. I set it on her bedside,
Mhm.
and she hasn't noticed it, but she
Oh,
did as soon as I got back. She headed to Missouri. We're doing
that's
house
true.
hunting,
Yeah.
all the house hunting right now. But it was neat to shake hands with Jeff for a minute and talk to him. I spent more time. I got to shake hands and do a little side hug with Micah. She's really awesome. Everybody was busy, so you can't keep their attention too long. They have a
Yeah.
a little business to run, and you don't want to be rude to their customers. So
Mhm.
I would walk away just to give them that feeling that they're not waiting to get back to talking to me because I wasn't vending. And then I just started getting pulled by my family once they the bloodhounds realize you're in town.
Mhm.
They're like, "You're 5 minutes away. Why aren't you here?" And it's like, "I'm not here for you." But
Yeah.
I went, I hung out, I did my thing with them, and I missed a little bit of the reptile show. And then I get a message from Amy Benzie, "Hey, Dave really wants to meet you." And I'm like,
And you weren't there.
and I was gone. I was already in Rancho Cucamonga with my cousins. They pulled me over that way, so
Yeah. That's a
I
bummer.
was like, oh, yeah, I know. I would have loved to have met that guy. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to get out to the Anaheim show this month if I can, because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he might be there. He might not, but at least I know her now, and we followed each other on Instagram. So at the next show they're gonna be at, I'll walk up and say hi.
There you
But
go.
yeah, that sucked. I really wanted to meet him.
Yeah.
Hoping I'm not forgetting anybody that I met, because I met a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people. Let's see. There was the one girl I didn't get to shake her hand because she was busy the whole time.
Mhm.
But I got to see her, the girl from the Shap. She has a really cool Instagram. I watch all of her stuff, and I'm yeah, I saw her there. She kind of smiled at me for a second. I think she
Yeah.
recognized me. I'm not sure. I wanted to see, but she was so slammed and surrounded. So it was kind of
That's good
cool.
for her though.
Yeah, I met some people over at the Zoom Ed table. They were all right. And then I always see Vanessa at the pet shop here. She has a store here in Mesa,
Yes.
Arizona.
I
The
think
pet
I
shop.
met Vanessa in Daytona, right?
Yeah, she's at all of them. She goes to the auctions.
For the USARC, right?
Yep. I always run into her and, hey, how's it going? See her any reptile show that I go to, she's there.
Nice.
So yeah, it was really neat seeing all these people. That you've been doing stuff with for a long time over the phone or text message.
Yeah,
Um,
for
but
sure.
yeah, Pomona was cool. I got to spend several hours there. And then I know I wanted to watch the fight, so that's why my cousins came and got me.
Mhm.
I had originally planned to watch the fights with Steven, but I think he was tired afterwards. I was like fighting sickness, and then my cousins like kidnapped me, and it was like, all right.
Yeah.
So next time, I'm gonna have to just make sure no one knows I'm going to Pomona.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's going to be the best way.
Yeah, it's a little expensive, but if you stay at the Sheraton right there in the parking lot, you can walk into the reptile show.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And where I grew up was like 5 minutes. I could hit
Mhm.
my house with a rock from
Oh,
there.
nice. Yeah.
I used to ride my bike to high school right past the fairgrounds every day. So
Mhm.
yeah, I went to Bonita High in Laverne. So it's just right there.
Yeah. Well, nice.
Yep.
Got anything else you want to cover?
Not on that front.
Anything else? Okay.
So we have some exciting stuff that might be, pretty interesting coming up with the podcast soon.
Yeah, little changes.
Little changes. Do you want to talk about it?
No, I'll let you do it. Um, I mean, I can if you, but
Yeah. So Reese, House of Reps, we approached him like a month ago. Um, I really like him. He's got a really good head on his shoulders, in my opinion. And he's one of those that, likes to get things right. And if he's got anything wrong, he'll immediately go into looking at what, he doesn't know and figuring it out. And I like that about him. He's also funny. So we've actually asked him if he wanted to do a small segment on Geckoverse Podcast. Now, whether that be pre-recorded or live, it would be his own little mini like show. And he said yes. And we've taken the last month to kind of think things through. I think we came up with something last night, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I think he's got a name for it. I don't know if he wanted to share it or if he wanted us to share it, but
No, it's I'm just racking my brain. I know it had to do with highlighting morphs and highlighting leopard geckos in different subjects. Uh,
Yes.
he wants to do pre-recorded. I'm going to try to talk him into live over time, but he wants to do pre-recorded and have his references in order, and he wants to do
Yeah.
small segments where he talks about specific subjects.
Yeah.
And
He just
he's
wants to
already
know
got
all
like
the
two of them that
information.
he's starting to work on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he'll be joining Geckoverse Podcast.
Yep. So
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about that. That'll be cool. So,
I think it will be too.
for
I will
when you fire me.
It'll be the other way around.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Just kidding. You're always
I
fired. Every time I turn
don't
around, I'm getting
know
fired.
how to tell you. I
I
don't know how to
haven't
tell
done
you.
anything. You're firing me for everything. I look at you, you fire me. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
that's
do
true.
anything. I get a text and you're fired. So I'm just used to being fired all the time. So it's good.
I'm sorry to hear
Um,
that.
something
Yeah.
I know I think you wanted to touch in on, and I would love to get some a little bit more information from you too, as we've been talking identifiers.
Oh,
You
how I
ready to
ID
go
my
into that?
animals?
Yeah. You ready to get into that?
I can do that.
All right. All right.
I
So
mean,
I know I started it similar to how you started it when I started using Cups and Tree Pro, and then started collecting more animals. Now I found as more hatch, especially as I've had them hatching, my numbers are starting to get even longer and longer and longer. So I was hoping you could share with some of us because there's not a lot. I mean, there is some information, but there's not a lot of information that I found on good ways to label them with an identifier if you're using a record system, like we are. So you want
yeah,
to share with everybody?
yeah. I started off like a lot of people doing L for lizard, 001. 002. And then over time, I noticed that they were just very whatever. I couldn't tell what was female, and I kind of wanted to be able to look at something and have an idea of what it was. And so I saw identifiers on a guy named Dave Rich. Um, he's DC Geckos out in the UK. And I asked him about how he does it. I felt like his was a little too much. And so I wanted to, like, okay, I don't want to do all that. But his was good. And yeah, so I ended up coming up with my own. And here, I just pulled up the things. So what I did is I put a two-letter identifier legend together, and it's just like new things, old things, stuff like that. But you know, so when you buy an animal or when you keep specific animals, and you don't want to do it for all animals because you don't have all the different animals. But
Mm-hmm.
if I wanted to say a bold stripe, so I will use the initials B and S, and
Mm-hmm.
basically for anything I hold back. If it's male, it'll start with letters. So BS and then 01 will be the first male. First female is 01 BS. So the numbers go in the front if it's a female. All of my animals have that I'm holding back and that I breed. Those ones have a 4-digit identifier. And some people think that, they've said, oh, this is too intricate. It doesn't need to be this much. And they're not wrong. But at the same time, I keep really good records. If you buy an animal from somebody who bought an animal from me and you reach out, I will be able to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't keep every record in my husbandry. I keep my breeders in my husbandry and some of the babies that I hatch. But the majority of other animals that I'm just going to list for pets or for sale, they don't have any holdback identifiers. And so, yeah, I get a 4-digit identifier assigned to different ones, and then I put the letters according to like red stripe RS. It's very Apter is AP, bold tangerine would be BT, jokers JK, clowns, and then I have some clowns that or sorry, jokers that are directly related to the main clown from Sasselbeck Reptiles. So I
Mm-hmm.
gave them SC for their own
Okay.
identifier. That way I can tell the difference between clowns I'm working with from other breeders that
Yeah.
there's like 8 to 10 years of lineage there, whereas these go right back to the 2014 male. So they got those ones got their own identifier. That way I see the difference. But and this is just an idea of how I do that now. Babies, it's not too hard or nothing. What it would be like? Let's say we had right here. We had Xander and Leah. Okay, so you have these two animals here, and this is an example sheet that I put together. This is where I do all my pairings. This sheet right here does so much. So,
Mhm.
well ahead of time, before any eggs have been laid, I have my plans for breeding. I'm a
Mhm.
breeder. Not, I don't keep reptiles, I breed them. I have some as pets, but my breeding projects go on these sheets right here.
Yeah.
Now, I plan out how many males and females I need. I put them in the incubator according to what this sheet tells me. I plan it out before they even pair. I'm going to pair these two. As soon as I got a lock, cool. I'm going to plan how many males I need out of this and then how many females. Typically, females go to default, and I just do the males that I need. Sometimes I'll breed for males if people ask me. But anyway, when I'm doing identifiers for hatchlings, I will take dad. Down here is the parent information. Over here is ideas like, I'm testing for Tremper and Eclipse. This is not a project. I'm just testing. It
Yeah.
says here, I don't know why I keep saying Bobby, but I think I was using Bobby the other day. Testing Xander for Eclipse and Tremper in order to move forward to breeding into Cypher in 2026. So that's an example of a note I might put. It says Leah is the third female paired to Xander this year, and you can keep adding notes to this box down here.
Mhm.
Now, my identifiers, if, let's say Xander's an Afghan Tangerine, he would be AG. If he's the seventh Afghan male that I've ever kept, he would be AG07. They all get their own. And once they are assigned the identifier, I never look at it again. That's his identifier until he's gone. And I
Yeah.
don't reuse the identifier because there's, numbers keep counting. So AG07 is Xander. So up here, you'll see that I do what are called pairing numbers. It's
Mhm.
my own version of a last name.
Yeah.
Um, AG07, he's named after Xander. And then since Leah is the third animal to be paired to Xander, that means two other females were, then this pairing is called AGO7 3. Okay.
Gotcha.
Now, as the babies hatch, let's say that the first animal, in the first clutch, you want a female and a male, and the female's going to take longer to hatch. So, I put these in here, and the first male to come out, I'll just put number 1 and then the year 24. But they all get the exact same identifier, AGO7 3. That tells me it's Xander to Leah.
Yeah.
And then 1 in the year 24. And then you got over here 2 in the year 24. There's 3. And this one will probably be 4. Like that's it's basically, how it works out. Here's the date that I paired them. This right here was for who's breeding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just AGO7 3 is the pairing number plus the number that
Of the
they,
baby.
they were
So
hatched.
that's fairly easy. I mean, for me, because I keep records like you do, and right now I'm just struggling with those identifiers because as like I said, as I have more hatching, my numbers are getting longer and longer and longer. I don't need these really long numbers, so
Yeah.
you know,
Well, this is cool because what it does is next year there will be an AGO7 3 if I keep Xander and pair him 3 times. It might not even be Leah, but it'll say 125. And I just look back in my records to see who I paired who with.
yeah,
That's on one sheet, right?
yeah,
So and obviously if I pull the sheet with these are all labeled after the mom's name over
hmm
here. So
yeah,
uh, basically I just pull the mom's record and
yeah,
figure out what's going on there. But
yeah,
anything that I hold back,
yeah,
um, like let's say that I end up holding back this male right here, and that's it. He would get, and let's say I now have 13 Afghan tangerines, which I don't, if I did. So he would become AG13.
yeah,
If he was number 14, he would be AG14. And then
mhm,
I would just notate down here that the holdback ID was, AG14. So.
gotcha. Okay,
And then I changed that. I would upload them into husbandry because profiles go to the animals I breed with and stuff
yeah.
like that.
Well, I used the sheets that you created for 2024. That's what I'm using now, and that's my main go-to. I just put everything in there, and then I put the rest of the stuff in Tree later. So the one thing I don't have is any more hatch IDs. I just kind of gave up, and they all, I don't want to say that. Let me say my words correctly so it's not misunderstood. They all still have their own individual hatch ID
Yeah,
number specific to that animal, but it is not in the sequence or the way that I wanted it to, but it is completely tied. So there's no confusions on my babies. I just
that's
want to
cool.
make that clear.
Yeah, well, and identifying is easy. I just like to have a system. This one works for me pretty well. It's funny that initially I was like, "Am I doing too much?" And then I had to look up an animal that somebody bought from somebody I sold to,
Yeah.
and I found it like that. And so I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, here it is. This is what it is. Have a nice day." And it was neat to be able to tell somebody, "Hey, you're holding on to a bandit that was paired to a firebolt. So it's
Mhm.
not a firebolt or a bandit; it's a firebolt bandit cross."
Yeah.
And you might want to test for eclipse. And so, yeah, and I don't know. For me, it's the thing about it is it's a hobby, right? And what makes you happy? For me, record keeping does make me happy. I don't know why. I have no idea why. That's the weirdest thing, but to
No,
be able
but
to go look at my animals and know everything about them, including their entire family tree, that's
mhm.
something that matters to me. So
And I think too, for me, it makes me happy too. But I think it's just that organization. My brain needs that. Some of us may not need this. Some people may watch this later and not need this. But for somebody like you and I, this helps us. Um, that, but I mean, like I've got more than 70 babies that have hatched this year, and without
yeah,
some kind of organization, what am I going to do?
yeah.
So
And if you have one of the babies that you got from me and it has an old identifier on it, and you ask me, I would you tell me what the end year is, 24. All I have to do is pull. What do I
yeah,
breed? Like 25 pieces of paper and go through them until I
yeah.
find it. So
Yeah. And ideally, that's what I would like too in the future if anybody ever had any questions or want to come back to me. And fortunately, last year I didn't um, pair on the scale I did this year. And I've had, a couple people come back and just questions, and I was easily able to go and answer. But when you're dealing with more babies and more seasons in front of you, it's definitely for me, I need a nice, solid identifying system. So I
well,
might
this
have
is one right here. I use this one right here for a lot of the stuff that I do. Um, and I use it for some of my own things, but yeah, this page right here is how I build my identifiers. And it's so funny how this works. It has a lot of plugins.
to.
So like if it was FB10, watch all my down below where you see right here. Like if I enter that and I put -7, let's say that's the seventh female to go to FB10, all of those change.
Yeah.
So, and then I just have to plug in the number in order that they hatched in. So I really like this sheet.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love this sheet. It helps me. And at the end of the season, all the people I've sold to, if I've held back any, it'll have a holdback ID. Otherwise, these will be blank. And then I print it. Um, the other thing that this does for me is next year I'll be able to go to Leah.
Yeah.
Before I air her, I pull these sheets. And like, let's say this one, I made it to where it looked like there was a couple of problems. This is an example sheet. I don't have an animal named Leah,
Hmm.
but you can see here that it says, active, incubating, not active. This one's active. The dates don't line up, but that's okay. It's just an example sheet. Over here, third clutch, infertile, and only laid one egg. So that's like a
Yeah.
problematic thing. This one, that was a soft egg. So that means that she laid two, but one of them was soft. I have things for infertile. I have things for eggs that pass incubation or active.
Yeah.
So things like that, I'll say, okay, well, Leah is not with these kind of problems on here. I would give Leah a year off next year, so she would
Mhm.
get rubber stamped. 2025, we are not breeding Leah. We're going to give her a year off, and so she'll have 2 years before she lays any eggs again. If
Mhm.
I'm like, let's say I need animals from her, I'll just wait. So, and if it's all across the board, like just active, 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 and she
Yeah.
filled all these up. And then the last thing too for this sheet. So this sheet does a lot for me. Um, but like if you see here where it says 26 to 38, that's
Mhm.
because some animals lay more. And if I need the extra set of rows, there they
You've
are.
got them. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
But Yeah, and I like to look at these sheets before I go pairing a female again and say, hey, I want to remember exactly what I went through with that female next year. Um, I don't just pair things willy nilly. I actually really, really like leopard geckos, and so for me, I don't know. Like I want to take good care of them. I don't want them dying prematurely. That's happened to all of us, and so it's one of those where you're like, okay, I better do better. And this is one of the ways that I chose. I'm going to do a sheet that is designed for the mother,
Yeah.
and do all these intricate, cool things, but it's designed for the mothers.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I like reference. I like notes. I like knowing if I should take some time off. So
Yeah, for sure. And it's good to keep all that stuff tracked. And like with the you had mentioned, I didn't quite catch what you said, but where you have like infertile or one egg only, that's
yeah,
stuff that I like to track too.
yeah,
Just so I can see what her pattern is, or if there's something that is going on to where maybe I need to retire her and just not use her.
yeah.
So
Some of the things that I've gone through, and I add more as I go through more, but
mm-hmm.
active or incubating, so I know where it's at. She
Mm-hmm.
only laid one egg. I have one animal that only ever lays one egg and then
Yeah,
stops laying eggs. So
with this
when
you can see that pattern.
when we did that year two, and then right after season, because I had so many females, I was like, why does she look like she didn't even lay eggs, and the rest of them
Yeah,
look all like they need food?
right.
I go look. I'm like, oh, she laid one egg and it was fertile. And then a
Mhm.
year ago, I go grab the paper, same exact thing. I was like, oh, so now I kind of have that associated with her. Like, I'm going to get one egg out of her a year.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe I don't want to breed that one, but
Yeah, I was gonna say then that point you can make that choice on what you want to do going further or
I
forward, I
would,
should say.
I wouldn't know unless I did something like this. But I also have the one egg only, so you can have like this one filled out over here, and then this one would be empty.
Yeah.
Infertile egg, so you candle your egg and it's infertile. Egg is soft. Some of those hatch, but if it's soft, I want to write it down
Some of
because that
them
might tell me that the animal's
I
fine.
was a little I was a little iffy about that, but I have a couple of them that I stuck in because you just incubate it until we know for sure, right? And I
Yeah,
have a couple of them I didn't think were gonna come out, and they've hatched. So
past is like the egg passed. If I
yeah,
don't realize what happened to it or somebody else took care of it and didn't write something down, I'll put
yeah,
past. Dried up is when it dries up. Where in the incubator, molded, and then there's aborted. To me, aborted is when the animal lays in the tub, not in the substrate.
yeah.
And
Which
if
I've
you
had
got
it, I've had that a couple times this year too.
yes, and so for me, I'll write aborted. The reason I write that is because I want to know if that animal is even worth doing this with, or also I could turn the entire tub during breeding season into
Mm-hmm.
substrate, so that she has no choice
Sure.
but to lay in the substrate. But that's a little extra care. She would have to be off to the side by herself. I would be having to wet it down more and keep it not
Yeah,
too wet. You have to put her food in different. If you really want those eggs, that's what this note is for. So,
yeah, yeah.
and that would be, if she aborts the eggs every time, I'd want to know that.
I
So,
like that you added molded to it because, like I said, I use yours from last year. Molded is not an option. So the ones that end up molding, instead of writing a name in there for the
yeah,
animal's name, because we give them names, I
yeah,
put molded at top, or I'll put dud. One or the
okay,
other will go.
yeah. Molded. I've had molded ones where I rinse them off and they hatch. I don't know why that happens. It's
I've
the
heard
weirdest.
that, but typically when it's you can tell there's nothing going on in that egg. So I
Yeah,
just I toss them.
those will mold. Those will mold and smell. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, this is what I
very
use.
earthy.
Yeah, but this is basically what I do. Here's the things there. My
Mhm.
daughter, I put here for examples, female one, male one, and here's the examples of what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
But she puts names across all these. It's really
yeah.
cool.
Did we lose you? Okay. I'm not sure if anybody can hear me, but I think we lost Joe. Yeah, so he just had a power surge, so we've lost Joe. All right, guys. Well, I guess we'll go ahead. He just said it's pretty much what he wanted to cover. So if we want to go ahead and end the broadcast for today, I think we're going to go ahead and do that. Um, let me just see. Okay, he says he is trying to get it to come back up, but that's pretty much all we had. If we've got any other announcements or anything else that we want to get out there, we'll let you know. But let's wish Joe luck on his big move. All right, guys. Well, you have a good rest of your Saturday and a good rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you guys soon.